Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Free Exchange of Ideas. Today, I just read an article about Stanford University. They had a federal judge from the Fifth Circuit, Judge Kyle Duncan. I'm going to read some of my notes because the article is fairly long, and I will attach it or put a link to it, I think, if I can, in the description below. He was there on March 9th to deliver a speech. I don't have any idea what the speech was about because he wasn't allowed to deliver it. Hundreds of woke students heckled him and disrupted the event. He was not allowed to speak. He was not allowed to deliver his speech at all. They had some kind of Q&A, I guess, prior to the thing, and these people just went ballistic on him, treating him like crap, calling him names, not respecting his position whatsoever, or respecting the fact that he's not the only one on the Fifth Circuit bench. However, he was the one that showed up to their school. And this is Stanford. Stanford's supposed to be, in my opinion, a little more liberal in their ability to hold free speech unaccountable, meaning as long as you're not, quoting Hitler or being completely racist, which is extremely rare anymore at any rate, free speech is free speech. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not talking about building bombs or, giving explicit instructions on those kind of things, free speech is free speech, and you're allowed to speak. Stanford University is a private university, and so they can make their own laws, and they have. They actually have on their website. They talk about their free speech rules, and it's very clear that while you can protest, it has to be peaceful. It's very specific. Peaceful protests are not looked down upon. They're not frowned upon. They're encouraged. Okay? At Stanford, at most public universities, they are encouraged. And here it's the same thing. But these people decided to go in there, piss on the people that were there to actually hear this man speak, who had requested him to come and speak, and that was the Stanford Federalist Society chapter. These are conservative people. Stanford is generally thought of as a conservative university. It's very medical and science oriented. They have one of the best medical facilities in the United States, probably on the planet. But they also have a huge liberal arts group. And, when you can't do your speech, it's just because they don't like what you have to say. That's fascist. If you look up that word, that is exactly what that is. That is a fascist maneuver because, I don't want to hear you speak because, you might trigger me. No. Grow a set. Become an adult. You're in a freaking university, for God's sake. That's going to cost you, depending on what your major is and how far you go, because you can get all the way up to your doctorate there at Stanford. It's going to, set you back a couple of pennies. And you're going to have to grow up with that. You should probably grow up before you go there just because of that. Now I'm going to give you, let's see, I want to speak directly about this. Stanford has an associate dean of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's a lie. That name for that office is a lie. Because if it was inclusion, that would never have occurred at this speech. Inclusion means all over, right? But if that speaker doesn't agree with your views, you can just go and, be loud and heckle him and call him names or her. I heard this something similar happened to Judge Amy Coney Barrett back east, I believe. At any rate, so Stanford's Associate Dean, Tyrion Steinbach, so a woman, She gave a speech decrying Duncan and accusing him of causing harm as a Fifth Circuit judge on a specific case that they heard. Again, he's not the only judge there. As a matter of fact, I think on that court there are 7 judges. So whatever they did was, according to these folks, or according to this individual, a LGBTQIA plus, I think I got them all in there, anti-bill. I don't even recall what the decision was, because they didn't really mention the decision, only that he was involved in that decision. She did nothing to quell this uprising, this disruption. Surprise, surprise. Instead, she gave a speech when he couldn't or wasn't allowed to, decrying him and accusing him of causing harm as a Fifth Circuit judge. She also, Duncan, I'm sorry, I'm jumping a little bit because I'm trying to keep up. Duncan ripped administrators and the behavior of the student body, saying they were treating their peers